Today I'm going to talk about some cool parallels and literary devices on the Gilmore Girls. My name is Gina. I'm an author, editor, publishing professional. I help you make your writing better. We were talking about the episode in which Dean says, you know what, I actually think it's kind of nice for a woman to want to cook and clean and raise children and not have a career of her own. And so Rory plays dress up. She dresses up like Donna Reed and she tries to cook dinner for Dean. And she kind of overcooks the meat and she doesn't make the biscuits that she planned to make. She doesn't bring out the dessert that she had planned to do. She's kind of bad at being a housewife, is what we are supposed to gather from this scene here. And during this conversation, she brings out a bunch of research that she has done and says, like, hey, did you know that Donna Reed was actually a producer on her own show? She was actually a trailblazer in the entertainment industry. So even within her little cosplay here, she's like, Donna Reed had a career. Donna Reed didn't do the thing that you said she was doing. And then a couple years later, Dean is married to Lindsay. I do not think that this is a coincidence that this scene is set up this way. And Lindsay has been trying repeatedly to make Dean's favorite dinner for him. And in this scene, she finally has succeeded. She has made the pot roast exactly the way that he wants it. It has turned out beautifully. And she gets so excited. She hugs him and she squeals and she jumps and he won't look at her. He hates her for it. He hates that she has become the exact thing that he said that he wanted, and he's already cheating on her with Rory. The car that Dean gives to Rory on their 3-month anniversary, this car very much becomes a stand in for Dean and part of their relationship altogether. When Rory's grandfather finds out about this car, Rory's grandfather works in insurance, so there are some like superficial like plot reasons why he would be worried about this car and worried about its safety, but you can tell very, very quickly that Grandpa does not think Dean is good enough for Rory, and so this car becomes a symbol of this relationship. This is actually a funny conversation where Grandpa actually even asks Dean, like, how tall are you? Like, he's very aggressive. He's very threatened by this young man coming into his life. He's already lost his daughter, Lorelai, and this young man might steal away Rory as well. They might lose all of the Gilmore prestige. Rory's their one last chance, and this kid's going to ruin it all. And so Grandpa does not trust this kid. He makes them drive the car to a mechanic and have it checked out over and over again. And it is definitely a symbol for the relationship that Dean is not good enough for Rory. So this car is not good enough for Rory to be driving. And then at the end of season 2, Jess, who Rory really likes, even though she's still dating Dean, Jess crashes that car. And eventually Rory and Dean will break up because of Jess. But this car is definitely a symbol of the relationship between Dean and Rory. Another parallel here, this is at the end of season 1 when Dean and Rory have broken up for the first time, and Dean shows up and Rory comes out of the school building and she's being sort of harassed by Tristan here that he's following her. We've got this big fancy stone building and Dean looks at her and she's standing next to another boy and he says, what am I doing here? I don't belong here. And she yells after him and says, I love you, you idiot. And they kiss and they're back together. And then in season 5, Rory is at a party at her grandparents' house, and Dean is there to pick her up for a date. And so she comes running out of a big, fancy stone building, accompanied by another young man who is kind of harassing her at the time. Like, this is a much more good natured. She welcomes this particular brand of like teasing and ribbing. And she runs out here. Dean sees her with this young man and says, what am I doing here, Rory? I don't belong here. And he turns around and he leaves, but this time she lets him go. And then my favorite bit of symbolism is the hay bale maze in season 7. So Luke and Lorelai have dated, they were engaged, and they actually end up breaking up. They've been broken up for almost a year at this point, and the town puts together this hay bale maze, and Lorelai's really super excited about it. Luke is very much not excited about it. For plot reasons, Lorelai ends up going into the hay bale maze alone. She was really excited about this thing. She thought it was so cool and so fun, and she wanders around this maze, but she cannot find her way out. And it gets to a point where she's kind of like, she's over it. She's bored, she's frustrated, she's not having fun. The kids running past her are kind of annoying. She's kind of, you can see she's like breathing heavy, so she's kind of overheated, like she's not enjoying herself anymore. And then Luke walks into the maze. He has to go deliver some food to somebody and has to walk through the maze in order to do it. And so the two of them have this conversation and they both apologize really genuinely for the ways that they hurt each other. And as Luke turns to go, he comes back and says, hey, you're actually almost out. You just got to take one more turn and then go that way and then you'll be done. And I don't remember what the directions are, but the point is that he gives her the directions that she needs. And it is not until Luke intersects with her that they have this conversation that Lorelai finds peace again, that she enjoys the maze. She's ready to be out. She's ready to be done with this thing that she thought was fun, but is actually turning out to be lonely and frustrating and aggravating to her. None of these things are things that you're going to be able to work in on your first draft. These are all things that are going to happen as you are revising and as you are editing your story. But look for the ways in which you can draw parallels to things that happened earlier in the story, or ways that you can foreshadow things that are coming up later by mining your own work for those little pieces and gemstones there.